back for more. Cassandra Stirling. You must have really enjoyed the abuse last time, so here you are.
No, we had a great conversation last time. There was no abuse.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just joking because I find a little self-deprecation goes a long way.
Yes. Yeah, I'm married to an English guy. Self-deprecation is normal.
Yes. I mean, I did a very, very childlike thing. I bought magic cards today because I'm still 12.
That's fun.
Yes. No, I enjoy the game a lot. I'm so part of being on the road state like how to make friends and influence people, right? And I realized that one of the easiest ways to do it is to play games.
Mhm.
Classic playing cards is a great thing. I have some. My sister marked all of them with the word fuck in the back.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. So playing cards is fun, but every once in a while you want something a little bit more complex. So
Mhm.
Magic's a good con. Everybody likes Commander,
I
right? So
haven't I haven't played it.
Magic's like it's essentially a math game, but no, the format I'd recommend for anybody would be Commander because it's casual. Like it's not. It's like there aren't like too many mad dogs that are trying to win at all costs. It's just everybody just going in there. It's just everybody's going in there. They're playing their stuff. They're doing cool things, and then somebody wins. And that is the way, right? And that's the way it goes, right? I play with a deck that's a little bit too evil. So I want to make something that looks more evil, but it's actually more fun. So that's what I decided to do. And so that's what I'm building right now is this like treasure, pirate, dinosaur, zombie, vampire deck that just that you know keeps coming back from the grave. That's my jam on this one. So
Well, that'll be fun.
yeah. So not that you're like I know nothing he just said right there. Do you game at all?
Video games, yeah.
What do you do? What's your games?
So favorite games recently, I was playing RimWorld recently, which is a trip, and mainly MMOs. So, but Dragon Age, Mass Effect, of course, because why wouldn't you?
Dragon
Um,
Age is good. I like
Dragon
Dragon
Age is good.
Age. Mass Effect is fun, but it's not quite my thing. If that makes sense, right? It's just
Ooh.
like not every video game's for you. Dragon Age is more my thing, but I'm a JRPG guy at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think the Final Fantasy 14 was the last MMO I played. I also played. Oh no, I played ESO as well. So
Okay.
Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah, I can't play MMOs. I remember back in the good old days of World of Warcraft, and I use that term very very well. I played it twice, and both times was 8 hours, and I realized that I have a problem and I shouldn't be playing these games. Right? There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that, but the problem with an MMO, like the problem with an MMO, is if if there's no endpoint. Like there's no
Mhm.
endpoint to the game. Like, raids can come to an end, but there's always things to do. And those games are generally really really good at what they do, which is to keep you engaged. There's lots of things to do always, and yeah, I've seen people literally throw their lives away for these video games. So it's just like, yeah,
I mean, WoW Widow is a thing, right?
yeah,
People have a name for it.
yeah. No, it happens, right? And so
Mhm.
I didn't want to be a casualty, and people laugh at that, but it's so true. I didn't want to
It
be a
is true,
casualty.
though. Yeah, I think you can get really sucked in. I have moments of getting sucked in, but most of the time, I get to a point where I just want to go do. I have so many other things I want to do, so I just go and do something else.
I just have too much of like but for me it's just like once I'm in, I'm in. I just
Hmm.
have to see it through and I have to
Uh,
complete it. I'm
okay.
built that way. So MMOs are a bad thing for me. They're just bad. RPGs are okay. I can't go too much. Now I can walk away from those a little easier because again, there's an end point,
Hmm.
right? Or I can get to a save point, I can finish a story, get that my sense of accomplishment, that piece, right, and then walk away.
Right.
MMOs don't quite have that same. You get that feeling of accomplishment, but because there's always things to do, it's
Hmm.
almost like you're getting like an Uber high of them at once.
Yeah, I mean ESO. What I liked about ESO is they had different storylines for the different regions, so you could just focus on the one storyline for that region. Yeah, it was really long, but there were loads of regions, so you could get to pick which one you started with. But you focus on that one line and you go all the way through, and then you can, stop at any point, do side quests or whatever. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the fun, right? You get like that's what makes video games so what's the term there? Why
addictive.
are, why are you not reading my? Okay, that's interesting.
What's that?
My oh, there it goes. There we go. Much better. That's what I was looking for. There we go. That's much better. I was wondering what was from my end. It's from my end. The microphone was not doing its thing, and I'm like, why is it not doing its thing?
Technology. It's awesome.
It is. It is. It is. Like I said, I have a computer that may shut down at random, and which is funny. Although I hope I fixed it. I hope I fixed it. So we'll see how that goes. But how have you been otherwise? What have you been up to?
Oh God, I have so many projects.
Feel that feeling.
I have five.
Okay.
Five. And this is 5 different projects, different characters, different books, different.
So they're all books. I just want to make sure this is very clear. They're all books.
They're all books.
They're all made by you.
Except for one. One is a joint with, technically, one is a joint project with my husband. So we've built the world, and we've built the kind of an idea of what the character arc is. He wants to be, it's vampires, morally gray. So it'll be urban fantasy, like my original series, which is urban fantasy. But it's a different thing because he also wants to try to do a little bit of writing. So we're still building out what the plot will look like for book 1. So that is in the least shape. That's the one that has doesn't have as much work. I have another project that is, I'm writing the novels, I'm writing the stories, but it's a shared world. So it's a cozy fantasy shared world. I'm working with 12 of the other authors. We're currently building out the world right now, what we want it to look like, what our grows will be, what the magic is like, what the, I proposed, we should have inns that all of our characters go through on their travels, so there's going to be the Salty Pickle Inn. And
so question. So are the inns going to be like the equivalent of Starbucks in that world?
Well, it's kind of medieval, so they're travel points, right? Things could happen in the inn that are part of the story, but.
Yeah, but see, this is my inner comedy thing coming out, because I truly have a belief that some things are universal. I don't necessarily think that there was a McDonald's back in medieval times. But what I do think is that mentality of building franchises that are reliable and dependable. I do see that there. Also, there's a little part of me that'd be amused at the fact that they would ask for a mocha latte in medieval times. That would be, and again, that's a personal, like, me having fun with the whole concept, right? Because again,
I think so. Travis Baldry's Legends and Lattes. It was originally an indie published book, and then he got a publishing deal for it because it did so well. His book, they make lattes.
Yes, yeah. Because again, some things are universal, but it doesn't feel like, it feels like you're just coming up with like shared elements that each of your worlds have.
Yeah, it's the world is shared, and then each of our stories are our own, and we each have, it's called we each have our own kind of grove, our own land that our story exists in, but we will be interacting with other parts of the story of the world that we're creating together. We're still working it out, but it'll start with an anthology, and then there'll be novels, and each of our novels will be branded from the cozy world, so that readers will find them and want to read the next one, and want to read the next one, and so on.
Yeah, no, that sounds cool. So for lack of a better term, Philip Jose's Farmer's Dungeon.
Say that again.
Philip Jose's Farmer's Dungeon universe.
I don't know that one.
Okay. I'm aging myself, ladies and gentlemen. This came out in like the 80s. Now,
didn't read that one.
No. Well, I'll tell you an interesting piece of that. Mm-hmm. One very famous novelist debuted in one of these shared worlds. And in that one, it was Charles DeLint.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I think, like, Terry Pratchett, even though he doesn't have contributors, he's the only author. Discworld is a shared world because all of his books occur in Discworld. They just are different kinds of books.
I heart Discworld a lot. As
a
concept, it's fantastic. But
Yeah.
I hate I except with one exception. I hate Rincewind. Oh,
Yeah, I've read some of the books. I haven't read all of them. I haven't read all of the series. But I love the concept. I love the idea, and it's kind of fun working with 11 other authors
oh yeah.
because everybody's coming up with these amazing ideas, and we're all feeding off of each other's ideas and building on each other's ideas and throwing out, oh, what about this and what about that, and so it's a little chaotic at the moment because there's a lot of building going on.
It's like a rock band jamming. It's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to make sense right this minute. I think a challenge with the world like that, honestly, to me is okay. What does Cassandra? Okay, this is one of my epiphanies since we last talked. I realized this, and this is very important. The best books are about what you give a shit about.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So the trick with your world, your place, your whatever the case may be, right?
Mhm.
Is okay. Once you guys share the rules, we're like, okay, what's my piece of the story to carve?
Yeah, and we get to do our own characters. We could have cameos of other people showing up in our books, other characters showing up in our books. But like one of the writers is going to do kind of a sword, a sword story, an adventure story with a swashbuckler. There's pirates. There's some people are going to have love stories. Some mine are going to be more kind of cozy mystery-esque stories, featuring books because books are in all my books.
Yep.
But so it's going to be my own story. It's just sharing the framework around it.
No, I got that. Okay.
Yeah.
So husband stuff, cool shared universe rock band thing.
Mhm.
You guys should honestly have a cool name. Like seriously, if you guys are going to be like a rock band in terms of working together, you legitimately should come up with like a name, or like something. It can be completely cheesy, like crazy cheesy puffs or something like that. It could be something like that, right? Like your group name. That'd be kind of fun. I don't know, but does that sounds cool?
Yeah. So that's the three. And then I'm working. So I have a cozy, slight paranormal mystery series. Two of the books are on Kindle Vella. They're complete right now.
That's awesome.
I'm working on a short story to go into a cozy mystery anthology so that I can kind of get those published and get those out in the world, because Kindle Vella for me isn't really working, and that's totally fine. I used it more as a development platform than I did for like thinking I was going to get a lot of money out of it. You know what I mean?
Well, honestly, just okay. So I one of my side hustles, or actually it's becoming more of a main hustle. I advertise for creatives now.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I make videos. I make videos. I do like personal little like sound bites, like because I feel where a lot of creative struggle is figuring out. There's the hardest two parts of this business in terms of the business end of things, not the career game, but the business, is figuring out who you are as a person that you're willing to share with your audience, whatever that looks like. And then the second part is finding your audience. Now you can have ideas of where that will be, but like for example, Kindle Vella sounds like it's a great concept in theory, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to fit
every genre.
It also doesn't mean it's going to fit you. There are people I know in the industry that have made more money getting completely away from Amazon. Right. And honestly, the real dream for any author, if you have to have your shit together to get to this point. But the real dream is direct selling, because at that's when you're reaching your audience completely.
Yeah, that's a long-term plan for me. Is direct selling. It's on my future list.
Yeah. So what in the meantime, you're just trying to find, like, you can't completely escape social media. You can't completely escape these platforms, but some platforms fit you better than others. You don't have to play on all of them. And that's the important thing.
Yeah,
right?
no, and I think so. For me, Kindle Vella was an interesting concept because I liked the idea of releasing an episode at a time, which would give me time to edit the book, edit each chapter multiple times before I put it up on the platform. I am a multiple time editor. My editing process is unfortunately a little unwieldy, and I'm working on trying to fix that. But Kindle Vella gave me that push because I had to get at least 2 episodes out a week, because that's what I set my schedule up for. So it gave me that push, but I could just kind of chip away at it as I was doing other things, So
makes total
It
sense.
didn't. Yeah, it doesn't. So it worked for what I wanted it to work for, but now that I'm no longer feeling it, I'm gonna because you're allowed to publish them once you put them on Bella. I'm gonna publish them as novels. I'm gonna re-edit them one more time, and then I'm gonna publish them as novels and create a series of books out of them. So there's that, and then the fifth thing is a new urban fantasy series that I am currently writing the first book on. That's different from all of the other series, but the world building has been done for this one. This one kind of has a little bit of a portal world. This doesn't really play, except the portal world is where the dragons are, and the dragons are in the book. So it's got your your vamps, your werewolves, your witches, same kind of concept. But I wanted dragons, and I wanted to figure out a way to have dragons in urban fantasy. So I have a portal world, like a little portal world.
Nothing wrong with that. Listen,
Yeah.
you can have. I'm doing an urban fantasy right now, kind of myself. But
How are you?
Yeah, so female version of Parker. I don't know. Do you know that? If you know that, who Parker is,
Mm-hmm.
killing evil versions of the Knights of the Round in different parallel universes.
Oh, fun!
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So I had this. So my thing is one of the things I am 41 years old, and one of the things I realized like in my life at this point, this is just to meet the personal level of things. I don't have a fucking clue how life works. I've come. No, but no, nobody does. But when it actually sinks in, it actually legitimately sinks in. Like you don't know. And going one step further, what is a good person? Like in a grand sense, that's a hard one to really quantify, because society will tell you what morals are, and then some people just go with the flow. Or do these people really have character? I mean, that's a good question. Another good question. Okay. Can you properly look at someone's life and look at them honestly? Can you judge them? And the older I get, the more I realize the answer to that question is no, right? Because there's just too much you don't know, right? I don't know why. I got into a fight with an ex-girlfriend a couple days ago because of some of her life choices in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I've just finally found out about them, and I realized that some of her reasons, right, were valid to her, and some of it is with a good reason. But she chose to leave a lot of people, including myself, in the dark about certain things. Now that I'm getting ready to leave Calgary, it's like I wanted to see her before I disappeared because I still care about her, but I don't think it's going to happen, right? And that's fine. But one of the things I realized is she made a lot of choices in the time between I saw her last and now.
Mm-hmm.
And one hand, there's a part of me that's really furious with her, but there's another part of me that realizes I don't know the whole story. I really don't.
No.
I don't. And because I realized that, I'm not judging exactly. I'm still a little mad. I wish I had known some things sooner. Like that's just me caring about the person. I wish I had known. Maybe I could have done some things to help. Maybe I couldn't. All fairness, right? I don't know, but I wish I knew because I care. But again, looking at this on a personal level, she chose what she did for a reason. Whether I agree with it or not, is not really the point. She made choices for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make her a good person? Does it make her a bad person? Or neither, right? Or it's just life happening.
I don't think it makes you good or bad. I think it makes you you make choices, your life progresses. What you do next is all up to you. As long as you're not hurting anybody.
Well, yeah, I totally get that, right? Mm-hmm. But that is an interesting question. What makes a good person? And my main character, was a horrible person. Undeniably a horrible person. And she's trying to figure this out going forward.
So that'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in my first urban fantasy, The Space Between, the one that I just published book 2 of in March,
Congrats.
I have a thanks. I have a character. She's called the Boda. Her name is Anquidith. She is the judge. She looks at every single thing a person did in their life when she's judging them. It all comes in, and then she makes a call as to whether or not they have tipped the balance into being, put into the kind of a soul prison or dying. Most of them die because they've tipped the balance too far one side. But you see like the whole slew. And what I like about that concept is you get to see exactly where their path diverged, where they were doing fine and might have been a little wee, and then they went wee, like what decisions they made to get them to that tipping point.
Yeah. Well, okay. So in my story, this is one of the only few things I had absolutely 100% think is right. It's the right. And again, it's this, what a lot of it really comes down to is the framework you putting it in, right? And how honest and transparent you are about that framework. And the reason why I think that's important, and this is why there's an accountability to that, right? At least if nothing else, at least to yourself, right? We do have a tendency to judge ourselves the harshest, right? But what I realize is you got to be honest with where you're at and who you are. And I think if you're true to that, you're not wrong. You're not that far off the beaten path. Doesn't mean you don't make mistakes. But I think that's part of life. You're not expected to be perfect. But I think where I think that descent into what good, and it's where it gets confusing sometimes too, where good and bad is how self-aware are you with what you're doing? And that's a hard, it's a hard one, right? Because there are things you just don't see. Maybe you can't see, right?
Other people can point them out to you, but yeah, I agree. I think it comes down to intention. If you are intending something good to come out of your choice, whether that's good for you, good for the person next to you, good for the community, good for the world, and it goes horribly wrong, you were still trying to do something good. Now, it could have gone horribly wrong because you didn't think it through, you didn't have all the facts, you were basing it on a false assumption. There's lots of reasons why it could have gone horribly wrong, but I don't think that if it goes horribly wrong, unless people like legitimately die, you had a good intention. It didn't end good. So the result wasn't good. The intention was good. That still makes you a good person because you're doing it for the right reasons, even if the result. It's like, think about it this way: Thanos, right?
Mm-hmm.
He thought what he was doing was the right thing to do.
Exactly.
He knew exactly what he wanted. He saw the problem. He was going to fix it. His way was the right way to do it. He didn't see himself as evil. He didn't see himself as a bad person. He's like, I'm going to fix this problem that I saw coming, that I tried to stop, and nobody wants to listen to me. So this is what we're going to do to fix it. Was he evil? Of course he killed half the universe. But was his intentions evil?
So Thanos is an interesting study. I'm actually going to go. I actually thought about this. So every misunderstanding I've ever had in my life comes down to three things: intentions, which can't be argued with; impact, which also can't be argued with. But where it's interesting is interpretation.
Well, yes, and that's where your choice also comes into play. So something that we do, my husband and I do, is if one of us is in a zone or in a mood or feeling insecure for some way, and the other one says something that was not meant in the way we took it, and you're like, now what, you're calling me stupid? And the other person's response is, no, that's how you're choosing to take it. Didn't say that. You're choosing to hear that I called you stupid because you're taking your baggage is filtering and influencing what you think the other person has said. Now, there are genuinely times where people are being mean to be mean. They're not doing it. You're not misinterpreting it. You're not, filtering it through your lens. But we tend to personalize everything. It's always about us. Somebody says something, it's about me. You meant that about me. They could have been talking about themselves. They could have been talking about their dog. They could have been talking about anybody. but we see it as, oh, you're attacking me. I see this on Twitter a lot where people take things that someone says and they internalize it and make it about them. I'm like, whoa.
So
Was it about you?
So I have the ninth. I have now 12 rules to success since we last talked. I've added a couple,
Okay.
but so the ninth rule is what I learned from the pandemic, which is this: detach from all outcomes, and that's a hard thing to do because the reason is we have a tendency. So we are at our most, I think, volatile and dangerous when we completely buy an idea in so much we cannot see anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which is a little bit what you're talking about there. We're personalizing everything, which is why I'm very careful about saying stuff like my truth or my thing, because if I'm saying that, let's just say we'll keep it silly. Let's say I say the sky is purple, and you say the sky is blue. Now, if I'm detached from the outcome, you can totally explain to me why the sky is blue, and I would be open-minded enough to hear you out. But if I was 1000% convinced, and I internalize that idea so fully, so completely, that the sky is purple, doesn't matter what you say, can't get through, right? So I when I go on Twitter, when I go on any of the social media things, I keep this rule in mind as much as I can. Detach from the outcome. It's not, because the other thing too, the other aspect to that, the flip side to that concept is you could be wrong. Like maybe. Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe it's called the whole sky is purple thing, right? The whole sky is purple thing. Maybe there's a very specific reason I think the sky is purple, and it's a good reason, right? You'll be like, well, that's cool. I never thought of it that way before. And then suddenly, right, now you might still think the sky is blue, right? But you'll be like, you will live and let live with the idea that the sky is purple because now you understand where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah. I mean, my husband has a hoodie that he swears is black.
Mm-hmm.
It's blue. It's always been blue. But we have this conversation. He's like, "Oh, you mean the black one?" I'm like, "Yeah, the blue one." That's how we have the conversation, because I know he's never going to see it as anything other than black. I'm never going to see it as anything other than a dark blue, because it's blue. Yeah. It's not black. It's you want to be. It's a blue black. Okay, fine. It's blue black. It's black blue. Whatever. But,
maybe blue to compromise.
But it's one of those things where if we wanted to make it contentious, we could hurt each other in sticking to that. No, you're wrong. You're an idiot. Colorblind. It's blue. You know what I mean? But we see, he always sees colors differently than me. The colors that he thinks something is, I'm like, no, that's not the color. But anyway, yes, I agree with what you're saying. I think it goes down to not being attached to the outcome, but it also goes down to how you choose to perceive something that is said, written, except your lens. If you are in the moment feeling attacked by everybody, anything anybody says to you, unless it's "I've got your back," is going to feel like an attack, because that's your mindset.
Absolutely. No, and that's just the way it is. I've learned this. I've learned this myself, and so. And again, it's me coming to terms with the fact that my ideas may not be correct either, right? And it's being open-minded enough to admit that there are other perceptions out there.
Yeah.
So I detach from everything. I hear everything. Now I may not agree with you, but the other thing too, the other thing this lens lets me have is, okay, I can disagree with somebody about anything. It doesn't matter. I don't take it personally. Right? Or because I'm not so hammered home on my ideas that I'm going to ever feel attacked about it. Right? And it doesn't matter if it's politics, doesn't matter if it's religion, it doesn't matter if it's, relationship stuff. It doesn't matter. Right? Or, right? I can look at you and go, I disagree with you completely. Want a beer? Sure. That's it. Right? Being an adult.
Well, it's that. It's also usually people get attached to, and I'm putting myself in this bucket too. Usually people get attached to ideas because it's something personal to them. It has some insecurity, some meaning, some. If it's not true, then therefore they've been doing XYZ wrong their whole life, and that's how they see it. Like that's how people, see that those. I need to be correct. I come from a family of females who always have to be right about everything, and I broke that tendency because I had the same tendency. I broke it in my 20s because I hated it. I hated it that everybody always had to be right and no one ever listened when the other person was like, no, you're wrong. This is how it actually happened. So, so I get, that people get stuck in stuff. They get stuck in, if they're right, then they're intelligent. You know what I mean? These things, everybody has these perceptions of what those things they think and the things that they feel and their opinions and their judgments and all of that stuff, what it says about them. And it's really hard for people to not get attached to it,
Yeah. Well, I mean, going a step further, just because my idea is wrong doesn't make me any smarter or dumber or any of those things. It honestly, that means my idea is not correct.
I've had lots of wrong ideas. I'm still living. I haven't died yet.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's the thing, right? I don't necessarily have to be correct. And that's actually a wonderful freedom. You know what that means? I can always learn and change and grow. I think that's a much better spot to be in than right. Right.
Yes.
I would rather, I'd rather be the former than the latter there. But that's just me.
No, me too. I don't want to be stagnant. I don't want to stand still. I don't want to, I don't want to be the same person I was even now or 10 years ago in 70 years.
Well, I'm hopefully a better person.
Well, yeah, like the growth, but you want that growth. You want to see the world slightly differently. I see with older people like my dad and my mom, and as people get into their 70s and 80s, they kind of get these fixed ideas and they don't want to let them go. And they get like kind of really more extreme in their viewpoints. And I don't want to be that person when I'm 70. I don't want to be fixed on my ideas of get off my lawn, you're all out to get me, or whatever it is.
Well, okay. So I had two thoughts about that because I've seen that with my dad who's approaching 70.
Mm.
Right. I've seen it. So this is the thing I realized. There's going to come a point in my life. It's going to be very difficult for me to change. And there are going to be some flaws I have. And this is where this is coming from. There's going to be some flaws I have that I'm okay with.
Yeah. You have to be okay with it. You're never going to be perfect.
Oh, exactly. So but going with what your family in the 70s and 80s is, that's what that is. That's where a lot of that actually is. They're okay with their points of view of the world because at this point in the I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's
fear. I think it's fear.
Oh, sure, fear. Hey, listen, fear does play a part of it. I'm not going to argue that point. The world constantly changes, and there comes a point in the journey where all of us become very uncomfortable keeping on changing with it. We all get to that point. It's that is an inevitability. Now I'm hoping it's when I'm like 90 and I can't do anything anymore.
That's kind of me. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But it's going to happen at some point. And so what I got to realize again, so this is one of those things I keep in my head, right? I'm going to be,
Okay, so he has a bad computer, so I'm just going to talk to the screen. I'm going to talk about my books because I don't know what else to do while I'm waiting for him to come back. So FYI, this, I know it's backwards, so I'm sorry, I don't know how to switch the camera, is The Space Between. It's the first book in my urban fantasy trilogy. It's about a girl who is the host of The Chosen One rather than being the Chosen One, and she's really not happy about being the host of The Chosen One. And it's about her journey and how she figures herself out and who she is and what she wants to be, even though she's already all grown up. So that's this book. And book 2 just came out. It's pretty cover. I mean, look at these pretty covers. Are so pretty. So pretty. Book 2 just came out. Another same journey, character-driven stories, urban fantasy. I really like character journeys. I'm really hardcore about it. I was trying to write something light or fluffy that isn't a character-driven journey is incredibly hard for me. I have to really plot it out, and then I end up writing some really heavy character journey, and I have to pull it back a little bit. So character-driven urban fantasy, but not along the lines of like Jim Butcher go out there and kill all and take on all these baddies, and not a lot of slaying in my books. It is more about how she interacts in the world, how she's perceived in the world, and how her relationship is with people around her, but also with Angudith, the badass she hosts, because Angudith is the boogeyman for all intents and purposes for the magic community in which Seraphina lives. So that is fun. And then also, if you want to just get a taste of what most words are like, this is Tidal Space Between. This is the prequel. So it's a short little novella. It's really tiny. And it is about when she's 17. And I think he's back.
I don't know. I wish I knew it. No, I didn't fix it. I wish I knew why my computer's doing this. So I don't.
Is it blue screening?
Yeah, well, it goes locking. Goes locking. I'm like, what the hell? And then it just goes blue. Then it goes blue. Then it shuts down.
It could be your CPU.
Yep.
Should do some diagnostics. There's like free tools online for diagnostics on your CPU. You can get a sense for, is it getting too hot?
It's not getting hot. Like it's not that. It's an older system. That's for sure. But I don't know what it is exactly. It could just be something.
Sounds like processing power or BIOS.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So it is what it is. I'm selling my comics in the next week. So with the excess money, I'll just get myself a nicer computer. That's the other nice. So this in there.
It's okay. I spent like all that time. I was talking about my books, talking about what they're about.
Yeah. Oh no, totally no. But like going back to what we were saying, it's like people have, like I said, people have ideas on how the world works. When you get to a certain age, you're comfortable in those ideas, and that's normal.
It is normal, but I think it's important, even now, like at my age, just turned 50.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thanks. I've been challenged in the last year with some views that I have a step kid, and they've challenged some of my views on certain things, and made me kind of look at it differently. Maybe kind of look at it from a different angle, from a different perspective. Opened me up to something that I was kind of closed to. So I'm hoping that I think the only way to continue to grow is to make sure that you are. Okay. He's gone again. This is fun. So as I was saying, space between the prelude. This book she's 17. She's having a fun summer with her best friend, Ro, who is a Selkie. And there's some drama. And I think it's a really good taste for what the books are like, because it is about the relationships. It is about how Seraphina sees herself, how she views the world, how she views the others around her, how she interacts with them. And it kind of tees up book one really nicely. The first book and the second book are on Kindle Unlimited, so go ahead and get this for free if you are a Kindle Unlimited subscriber. Tidal Space Between is on retailers everywhere, and then the print books are, everywhere that I could possibly put them, and including some foreign countries. I think he might be back, but no camera.
Give me a second here.
Okay.
Why is the camera not going on here? Video. Okay, that's there. This has been messed up. 1 second. I will just do something real quick here and go boom.
Okay.
And I'll be right back.
But you can find me on Twitter. I'm also a development editor. I work with writers who are writing their books for the first time. It's something that I really, really love, because I get to help people write their books. And what's wrong with that? I love words.
There you go.
Okay, you're back. Let's see if you stick.
I hope I stick. I
Yeah,
hope
because
it
I've
sticks.
run out of book talk, so now I'm gonna like wax on poetically about life.
That's okay. You can wax on poetically of life. Like I said, this has been, yeah. I got to fix this, or I got to go back to my other computer and fix that one. One or the other, I guess, in the short term until I get something actually better. But that is what it is. Yep, folks. Technology is a wonderful thing.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
But all of which to say, yeah, like I said, yeah, no, you have to be open to constantly change your views. I just realized that there's going to come a point where that will not be so easy. That will, and there might be there also, and also, but I also think too, there's going to be some things, and then there's a little bit of this too. I think we all got to be aware of this. There are things we see and we view that we're just going to always believe on some level, and I think that's okay too. That's okay too. You're supposed to.
Yeah.
So you're going to be a little car marginally when you get to 70 and 82. Maybe not as car marginally as your parents were, but a little bit so probably normal.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the key there is really to keep exposing yourself to new ideas and new, new books, new TV, new people, because otherwise, new cultures like traveling and all of that. Because otherwise, I think it's very easy when you're in your, we all figured this out in COVID. It's very easier when you're in your little insular world to see everything one way, and to get stuck a little bit.
Oh no, that's why I'm trying to I'm trying to go out into the world, because once it's that's why I'm going on the road. One of the reasons, right? Because it's the best way to learn.
Yeah,
it's one of the best ways to learn, and you have to be willing to grow. And like I said, you gotta be open to change. That's what it ultimately comes down. But for me, it's just like the world's bigger than me, and it always will be. I'm not going to have all the answers on everything, and I shouldn't.
No.
There are things I'm not going to understand, and that's the way it should be too. Hopefully, I just have a good time while I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's my big thought of the day.
It's a pretty good thought.
Yeah. So let's see. You tell your projects. I'll say mine. I said I launched a Patreon. So I've already started doing the new version of the podcast on my Patreon.
Cool.
Yeah, so you got that. I do video commercials and stuff for clients, which is just that's a regular gig. I'm actually ghostwriting a blog for a publisher right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, ghostwriting. It's
I don't like
interesting.
it.
I
can't do it.
I'm 50-50 on it. I one of the things I realized with ghostwriting is it's not yours, and I'm okay with that to a point. Right?
Yeah, I need it all to be mine. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. You know what? There's, but in this
I can't do it. I know there are people who do, but
in this particular case, I'm okay with it. Not to the publisher. There are some of the approaches are. How do I put this? I'm glad my name's not there. Some of the approaches, some of it, right? No, it'd be how I do it. But I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind doing it. I don't mind learning. I get to write about stuff I really like too, but it's just fine. I realize what you see at the end of it isn't necessarily me, and that's good. I'm doing that. I have a show I'm developing for a client that's been pushed. I've made more money every time they've pushed it back because it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with them. So I'm getting paid more, but I hope to see the show come up sometime this year because we're at that point where it's like, because we've literally filmed 90% of it. Like literally, we're like 90% of it's filmed. I got 2 more film sessions with them, and we're done filming. Like we have to figure out what we're going to do for the last episode for the first season. But I mean, I can make it a clip show even for the first, right. And that's what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the footage I have. I'm going to keep some of the stuff that I think is good, and kind of do like a clip show, like I tell a story in it. Like then that's what I'm going to try to convince them to do. We do a little bit of filming for like 5-10 minutes. Like 5 minutes of the show will be like new content, and then the other 10 will be older content. Putting it together into a final exam, right? Kind of thing. And that's kind of the idea there. But we're mostly done. Like the filming's done. So now it's just about putting them all together. And that's gonna be my project the next couple months. Then after that, it's been writing my books. The book I just told you about. I have to write an Alice in Wonderland sequel this year too, and I'm drawing more. I'm actually getting good. I'm almost at the point where I can comfortably say I'm good.
Nice.
Yeah, I can draw a female form, and it actually looks like a woman. Like
I couldn't. It wouldn't look like a woman. Yeah.
But boobs were hard until someone showed me how to do it. Like actually, and I can actually say that honestly, it's like I didn't expect boobs to be the thing that
shadows, man. You got to use shadows to get those boobs right.
Actually, no. Well, not really. A little bit, but not much. The real secret, I realized that boobs are essentially an upside down heart.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they are. They're an upside down heart. And so once I realized that, like, it's understanding the shapes. Once I understand your story, once you understand the shape, you can draw it. It's just knowing. It's understanding those things consciously, subconsciously, that kind of thing. So I've learned and grown and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I have too. I've been doing a lot of work. I've taken some courses and some writing courses, some goal setting courses that I definitely am getting good stuff out of. So they were worth the money. But yeah, just trying to do stuff.
You trying to take over the world.
Yeah, one book at a time.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. So, ladies and gentlemen, Cassandra Stirling, world dominator. That.
Yeah, baby, bring it.
That's right. So, what's your title? Like your Nero ship, your Empress, may she live forever. What would be your title?
I don't know that I want a title. I just want to be maybe the shit.
The shit? Okay. Cassandra, the shit. Stirling.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. No, that's cool. So when I go on the road, want to do this thing again in person?
Yeah, it'd be totally cool. I'm in North Carolina now. So.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So if you head this way, I'm on the beach. So if you head this way.
I got to head that way. I don't know when I think it's going to be 2024 when I head that way, but I am heading.
Oh, yeah.
So I have so I don't know if you know who Jane E. Taylor is, but she lives in that neck of the woods too.
Oh, so cool. So you can kind of piggyback on a bunch of others.
Yeah. I mean, the cool thing about doing this podcast is I've met so many real people, like right, and it's like, for me, it's just like, hey, you want to go do something, and everybody's like, yeah, sure, that sounds like fun. Let's go do it, right? And that's what that's like what excites me the most about this trip is I get to meet all of at least a chunk of you on this journey. I think that's an amazing thing.
Yeah, it's totally cool.
Yeah, so that's my. Then at somewhere along the way, I'll figure out where I fit, which may be on a beach somewhere, right? You know, hitting on women half my age because why not? And just have myself a good time.
I mean, it's hard. You know, we live where we live now. We'd never been. We have a gamer friend here, but we'd never been here. We'd never visited. We didn't know what we were walking into. We just decided to sell our house in New Jersey because it was just time and the market was really good. And so and we sold our house a lot quicker than we expected. So, you know, we sold our house basically in a month. We didn't expect that. We didn't even have a place to land.
No, it doesn't usually happen that quick, especially with the way the housing.
So yeah, it's super fast. And we were like, okay, we need movers set up, but I don't know where we're going, and I don't have a place to put our stuff, and I don't know what's gonna. But it ended up all working out. We're in a rental house now, and it works. It works really well. But we just picked it, and we're still kind of like, okay, are we staying? Are we going? What are we doing? You know, because we could go anywhere.
Well, that's why. Okay, since we last talked, I've got went down the wrong pipe there. I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, I got to the point as a freelancer. I'm not saying I can quite make money at will yet, but I'm getting work a lot more regularly. I don't actually need to be in one spot anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I can be wherever.
So that gives you a very, very unusual sense of freedom. It's like, well, if I don't like it here, I can just go.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we did. We're like, let's move south. Let's move somewhere warm. Wilmington. Okay.
Wilmington, North Carolina?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, and a lot of people don't realize it. Like North Carolina is definitely one of the prettier parts of the United States. It's kind of like one of those like not so well known, like it's not California, it's not the mountains into Washington, but it's still really pretty out there.
Well, you've got the Appalachians actually on the west side of North Carolina.
So there you go. So I mean, you got a nice perspective. So I mean, it's just going there and you be pleasantly surprised. And if you find people that are a lot like you, it makes it really easier. It makes it easier to stick around. And if you don't, you're like me. You're just getting ready to leave.
Yeah, I think as you get older, it gets harder to make friends. So it is something that we are cognizant of, and we're trying to get out of the house more. But some things happen. Like actually, my stepkid was here for 3 months. She lives in Australia, so she was here on her way back to Australia for her gap year from high school. So we were focused on hanging out with her.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, who knows when you're going to get another chance?
Yeah, so it was like all about hanging with her, and then then the year rolled over, and suddenly work and life and illness and a trip to Iceland, and we haven't gone out of the house much. So we're working on it though.
Yeah. So I go out of the house every day. I just do it.
We go for a walk.
Yeah. I get out of the house every day. And I go to the coffee shop. I'll talk to people. I just talk to people at random. I go do things randomly. Because again, I'm not quite at the age where I have a big mouth. That's my one big advantage. So it doesn't matter how old I get, that will always connect to people.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've learned is, I think it's I think the thing is, the biggest thing post-pandemic is people are a lot comfortable in smaller circles. I don't think that's entirely a bad thing.
It's not. I don't think it's
right. That's not entirely a bad thing, but at the same time, there's two sides to that. So it's not a bad thing that you're comfortable in smaller circles, but you got to. There's a balance of you got to be open to new things and coming into those said circles, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's something I think that it'll shift that way in the years to come a little bit more, because I think with the way things are going, I think one of the best survival tools, good, bad, or indifferent, whatever the future holds, is going to be in your communities wherever you're at, and that's getting to know your neighbors and working with them, mm-hmm. because you never know what's going down the pike. Like you have a great price for your house, you sold it in a month. There's going to come a point with the housing market there, it's going to be unsustainable. And with everybody's wealth being all in the house, you're going to have a lot of people go through a real rude awakening when it goes, nope, no more, no mas.
Yeah.
Right. So then where are you going to turn to? Hopefully the people you've connected with in the areas you've connected with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, our neighbors are lovely. They're really nice.
Sure.
Yeah,
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. It's just these are the little things that kind of, like, I've noticed post-pandemic. It's good and bad. I'm not saying, hey, being able to do with less people isn't a bad thing. But
no, because we get bombarded online with all the voices all the time. So having that smaller community for the physical interaction, I think, is better. I mean, but I'm an introvert and I value, I've got relator and deep relationships are part of my core strengths. So I'm coming at it from a different perspective.
But again, we're at different parts in our lives too.
Yeah.
I'm about to go through my greatest midlife crisis ever. I mean, that's what this road trip essentially is going to be.
It's fun though.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the whole point. Because again, when I get to 50, I'm not going to be as amped to travel. And I know that.
Oh, I saw.
Well, I'm not going to do it as much. Like, the thing is, right. That's the thing. you still will go, you still will do,
Mhm.
but if I don't do this now, I won't do it. Right?
I mean that's yeah, and that's good for you to know. I mean, we literally just got back from a trip to Iceland where we rented a camper van and we slept in the camper van around Iceland. Now I've realized it was a little cold and it was a little uncomfortable. It was fine. It was good. It was an adventure. We knew it was going to be, you know, but it would have been better, I think, had we had a hotel room. So there's like some adjustments you make with what you're willing to put up with, your comfort level. But at the same time, we had a great time.
Absolutely.
Great time.
Absolutely. No, and that's what I'm going to be on the road for the foreseeable future until I find a place that kind of feels like, well, I kind of feel like I fit here.
So I have had one of my old colleagues from a while ago, like 10 years ago. She got rid of all of her stuff. She bought an RV and she did RV living. Well, she worked on the road because she did online marketing, so she could work from anywhere. And she lived in an RV and did RV. She traveled all around and did all like
Kind of like what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm getting ready to do.
And then she eventually she determined that Utah and a specific spot in Utah was where she wanted to settle. So she bought land, she bought a house, and she's kind of hung up her RV. But she did it she loved it. It was perfect for her. This tiny little place. She had her cats with her. Like she learned how to fix things on the road because she was in the middle of nowhere. She went on all these amazing, beautiful adventures up in Canada. Like, she was up near Banff and she was doing all these beautiful, beautiful hikes and rivers and lakes and,
Absolutely.
skiing, etc. And it was a good experience for her.
And that's what I'm about to do myself. Like it's going to be a van, not an RV when I start, but essentially it's going to be the same thing. I'm an hour away from Banff right now, just to get where I'm at. So I lived actually in Canmore, which is literally like 20 minutes from Banff. So I was in the mountains.
I think we were in Canberra. My sister and I did a dude ranch experience south of Banff. And I think it was kind of near there.
Yeah. Canmore's just east of Banff.
Okay. This is south, but
same thing. It's the same environment. I lived in the mountains for 6 months.
It's gorgeous.
Oh my God.
So gorgeous.
And then I was like, and then when I left, it's like, I miss these mountains a lot. So if I do come back, if I do end up back in Canada, it's probably going to be somewhere in there.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And if I don't end up in Canada, it'll probably be somewhere in the States, and probably be much like your friend. I'll find a small space in the middle of nowhere somewhere. It's probably where I'm going to end up, right? But we'll see. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, one of the parks that not a lot of people visit is in Montana, which is having its own little meltdown right now. But I'm not worried about politics. I'm talking about a nice place to go, and that is Glacier National Park.
Yes, and it'll be my fourth stop. My first stop,
straight south. Yeah,
straight south. So my first stop is going to be Vancouver because it's my test run. It's going to be my test run. Figure out what works, what doesn't. My second run is going to be California, Washington area. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go to Arizona. So I lived in a very small town in Arizona called Snowflake, Arizona. I ended up working it really exists. It's a Mormon community. It's a Mormon area. I ended up working for an author up there. I'm not going to name them, although if you really want to look who it is, you can pretty much figure it out with the information I gave you. Didn't go well with the author, and I went through a very hard time up there. And when I was going through that hard time, I didn't see how some people have really helped me. And years have passed. Again, perspective, framework. Time makes it very easy to readjust your framework. I probably would not have survived up there if it hadn't been for a few people, and I kind of want to go thank them personally.
Oh yeah,
that may not seem like a big thing in the grand scheme of things, but
no, it is.
Yeah, so I did that, and then afterwards, it'll depend on time frame. I might be back in Calgary really quick because a buddy of mine's getting married on the 30th. But so I might do that, and then but after that, I'll go to Montana. Dave Butler has what they call an IHOP con. He actually does. They do like a little thing. I want to do that, and then I want to go east. Then I go east, hopefully to see my grandparents, both of them,
Cool.
both sides of the border. And then after that, I'm not sure. It's going to depend on contracts, work situation. But yeah, just doing my thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I have a plan, a start of a plan at least. We'll see how it all goes. Next 2 months, I'm selling off my comics, so that's going to determine some things too. How much I get for them is going to determine the kind of vehicle I get, obviously. But it's there's a plan, and we're going to kind of see. We're going to kind of see how it all plays out.
It's awesome. Yeah, I think we had a van. So we had a van that had like sleeping in the back, and you could arrange it so that there's a table, and we had like a little like wooden kitchen thing that had Bunsen burners. Basically, they were gas burners, and it worked really well. I mean, it's a little cramped, and you can't bring a lot of stuff, but it worked really well. It worked really well.
I'm bringing my camera equipment, occasionally some books. Probably some Taylor Swift CDs. I've become a Swiftie since we last talked.
Really? Okay.
Really? So I started listening to her stuff last year. Started actually finally consciously listening to her stuff. I had listened to some stuff with hers I never even realized was hers, right? Because it's on the radio all the time and you don't know or care.
Yeah.
So now I'm listening to, I have her. So I listened to Folklore, which was one of her pandemic albums. And it was like I was really impressed with her storytelling. Like that's the thing about Swift I really think is great about her is she's a world-class storyteller. She just yes, she uses earworms and all that other wonderful stuff. But the truth is the reason why her stuff sticks with you is because there's something really genuine inside her stuff, right? So there's something in it. Not gonna say every song, but at least there's some of their songs. There feels like there's a good story in there. And next thing I know, I'm going through her catalog, and I'm like, I really like her stuff.
Okay, I mean, I have friends who love her stuff. I can take her or leave her. I like the stuff that I hear on the radio, but I don't buy her albums.
No, and I get it. I totally get it. Like it's one of those. It surprised me too, kind of thing. It's like what the hell. But I'll be taking some albums, like some of my favorite albums, on the road, and probably an old school CD player because what the fuck, bring some books of different people I read. I'm old, whatever, right?
There are boxes behind me that are full of CDs, so you're not.
I actually got rid of 2 of my boxes of CDs. Like I've actually been purging stuff.
3, I think.
Yeah. I had 3 boxes. I have 1 now. One and a bit. And it's an eclectic mix. So on one end I got Taylor Swift, and on the other end I got Amon Amarth. So there's a Viking metal on one side. There's some in the right, which is just
get some Rammstein in there, maybe get some German.
Rammstein's tame compared to these guys.
Rammstein's not very hard.
No, it's not. Rammstein's okay. Eluvite, I have Amorphous, Epica, Tarja, like these are my metal, and I got like a little punk, not much. Then I got really soft stuff like Jars of Clay. I got like Taylor Swift. I'm looking at myself, it's like I got like these 2 extremes. I got this angry dude that loves metal and bashing, but I also got like this really contemporary mellow, right? So it's like I don't know how that fits, but it's me. Yeah.
I mean, my husband's a thrash metal lover. He Rage Against the Machine is his favorite band. It's been his favorite band since, eons ago. And so I listen to a lot of heavier stuff than I would have if I wasn't with him. And I like it. I like a lot of it. I don't like some of the screaming stuff. I'm like, okay, get me through it. But I also have like on the other hand, I like, the acoustic guitar and the folk music and 80s music, of course, because I'm an 80s kid, but also like film scores and opera and classical, and the only thing I don't really listen to is rap and country.
I love Eminem for rap. I like his. He has a
Yeah, old school rap I could do. Like Cool J,
Kuja's okay.
back in the day rap maybe, because it's
Tupac's
nostalgia
really good.
factor. Yeah,
Tupac's really good.
but it's not really my thing. Rap.
No. You know what? That's fine. I can respect. Again their voice in the space.
Yeah.
That's the thing I respect. I like Eminem because again, there's a now he's a pissed off dude, genuinely pissed off, and somewhat justifiably so. Even though he right. So it comes out in his music, and there's something very real about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's why I can listen to him. I can't listen to him all the time because I don't need to rap much like me. Rap's not necessarily my first thing.
Yeah.
Then again, I love Linkin Park.
I don't mind Linkin Park.
Yeah.
I've got some songs in Linkin Park I like. I've been listening to. It's like I stumbled across this random band that of course is broken up. Flyleaf, which is Christian metal.
Flyleaf is the first two albums are really good.
So good. It's so good.
Really good. Memento Mori. I actually had to let that album go. It made me sad, but it's really beautiful. It's a beautiful album.
Their stuff is gorgeous, and it's got an edge, and it's got like. So
yeah. All Around Me is a song everybody's heard. Everybody's heard that song, but my favorite song on there is Missing. It's really, really good.
I know Missing. I think I've heard Missing. But so random stuff happens, and then suddenly I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a
my Christian bands of choice are Jars of Clay and 1,000 Foot Krutch. So it's just that's where I'm at. Jars of Clay doesn't always sound like a Christian band. They do a lot of contemporary stuff that has a lot of nuance and depth to it.
Yeah.
And 1,000 Foot Krutch, old school 1,000 Foot Krutch is like as Christian band as you can possibly imagine. Which is not your thing, but their last stuff, but their later stuff evolved, right? So and then the Christian music scene just disappeared essentially.
It's still around. I mean, they're still Christian.
Oh no, there's still some, but it's not like what it was either, right? It's not like what it was. I mean, the only one from back in the day when I was big into it was I think Toby Mac still does stuff, and he's like, and he was always to me kind of like a meh, right? So it's like they don't have the same pull they had back in the day. So. But then again, my favorite stuff's long gone, so it's like I don't even shrug. It's just right. It happens, right? So, but again, and I listen to Vite, who's like it's like pagan metal, which is really different. And then there's good music is good music. It's like good stories. Like it doesn't matter what the genre is. I have grown to respect. What I realize is this is again going full circle here. If you genuinely care about your shit, but what you're putting on the table, it doesn't matter what it looks like to the rest of the world. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. So, what are the odds of you staying in North Carolina for long term? You think?
Pretty good, I think. We're liking it. It's small town, but not. Because it's like it's like 120,000 people, right? So it's a big enough city, but it doesn't feel like a big city. It's got like a small downtown. It's got all the shops you need. The only bummer about it is it's 2 hours away from Raleigh-Durham, which is where the airport is, which is international flights. So that is a bit of it's 2 boring hours too. It's like flat and boring. But that's kind of the only downside.
So I'll send you pictures of Saskatchewan, Canada. That'll cure your
drive through Saskatchewan. Because we lived in Canada. Because we lived in Canada for like 3 years.
So where'd you live?
We were in Toronto.
Okay, so Northern Ontario is the second most beautiful part of Ontario.
We never went north.
Never went north.
No, we went. We drove to Montreal.
Montreal's nice.
I think we drove to Quebec as well. Or did we fly? I can't remember.
Okay. That's far east. So okay. Northern Ontario, you go west. So Northern Ontario is all forest, the Canadian Shield. It's beautiful.
Yeah, man.
All right, there you go. Then you go to Winnipeg. So Winnipeg, the scenery starts to change. Then when you get to Winnipeg, up to Winnipeg, it's still an okay trip. It's not boring, but it's not like the northern Ontario either. It's a lot more swampy-esque, for lack of a better term, right? Then you get by Winnipeg, and then you get into the cornfields of Canada. Now, this is what happens. This is legitimately what happens. So the first few minutes you see this, you're like, okay, this is different. And then somewhere along the way, this dawning horror realization is this is all you're going to see until you hit Alberta.
Iowa.
It's longer. It's longer.
Well, I know it's longer, but Iowa's the same way.
Yeah, you have that horrifying realization that
I'm gonna die in this state. I'm never getting out. Because
Yeah.
it's never gonna end. Yeah.
Pretty much. And you're like, fuck that. So you go at night. What's like, you go at night. Highway 1's a straight line, which actually makes it both better and worse. You don't have to think very hard about what you're doing, but you might get hypnotized into the cornfields and wake up somewhere in the middle of them, right? So you have to. So you drive through, and when you get to Alberta, it starts to get hilly again. At least it starts to hill up and down. Once you get to Calgary, so Calgary's the dividing line, flat or hilly, but the flatlands, and then mountains an hour away, and then that's when you get to Canmore, Banff, and all the really beautiful.
Yeah.
So, but there's that little bit of hell that in Saskatchewan. That is Saskatchewan. I make fun of it so hard because it's just brutal.
I think we drove to Sault Ste. Marie.
Okay.
But that was as far west as we drove. I mean, we visited Vancouver, and then I've been kind of near Banff. But yeah, we didn't get to do as much as we wanted to do.
Vancouver is a beautiful city to visit. I lived there for a little bit, and I went there to get ready to get into the movie industry before the pandemic, and then the pandemic kind of
killed it.
I didn't want to go back to my job. I was done, and I was committed to making a change, so I became a freelancer instead. I don't regret it. But I learned this. I learned, how do I put this? But Vancouver is a neat city to visit. I don't think I'd ever live there again, though.
We we thought it was nice. We weren't overwhelmed by it. I would say the favorite place we visited was Montreal because it has a feeling to it. It has a flavor.
It's one of the oldest cities in Canada too. It's pre-Canada, so. And
it just Toronto doesn't really have a vibe.
No,
Montreal had a vibe. Quebec had a vibe, but it wasn't the same kind of vibe as Montreal. Obviously, they're different, but I don't know. Montreal it had what we needed. It had the pubs. It had the art. It had the feeling to it. It had culture, I guess.
Yeah. Montreal kind of feels like an old school European city in Canada. That's what it feels like. Right?
Except the apartments look like Europeanized brownstones from New York.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Which considering how when the city was made.
And how close it is to New York, yeah.
Yeah, so it makes a lot of sense. More sense than people realize. But yeah, that is. Yeah, so any recommendations if I get to your neck of the woods, where should I go besides the Appalachians?
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, Tennessee's got Nashville, it's got Memphis. Memphis and Nashville are very different. Memphis has some rough spots, so be careful. But also it's got a different feel. It's a little more southern, a little more bluesy, lots of blues music and lots of really good barbecue. And, then you got Nashville. There's fun places everywhere. I mean,
absolutely.
I think just go see and do and see what there is to see.
I shall endeavor to do so. So now here's the last question. See, I was debating since I was getting a van with an open roof. Do I dare put an ice cream music horn in my vehicle, or will that just get me shot?
That'll get you shot. Well, I mean, I wouldn't do that.
Okay, but But there was a little bit of
Rabid kids could chase you down the street and like beat you up. I don't
it
know.
won't just be kids. It'll be their parents.
Mm. You want to be annoying? I wouldn't do that.
Okay. But it did make you chuckle, which is good. I think so. Listen, it's always a pleasure to have you. I think we have an interview.
So much fun.
Yeah. So we'll do this in person. What I'll do is when I have my shit more figured out, which I guess the next 2 months is all about getting my comics out the door.
Yeah.
All right. So once I have money, I go to the States. I will say this: God bless America, because you're of the states you live, the licensing laws to get a license in the country are different depending on the states. God bless America. So I go get my license somewhere.
You can use your Canada license, can't you?
I can, but the thing is, I waited a very long time to get my license. So if I go get my license in Canada, I get what they call a graduated license. So I can't leave for 2 years. But if I go to the States and get my license, it's a full license.
Yeah, but you have to live in this. You have to have
I have American citizenship.
Address in the States.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay.
And
That's really
also,
the thing. You need the U.S. address because they're going to mail it to you.
Yeah, but the thing is, actually, that's not actually necessarily completely true either. There's 3 states you don't actually need to be a citizen to get a license.
But you need an address.
Yeah, I got one. I got one. Don't worry about that. I got one.
I've gotten licenses from 7 states, 8 states. So yeah, it's
I can totally no, that's why I'm hoping to get the license at the end of June. Okay. So by the time I get to the end of July, I'll have the license one way or the other. All right, and then I just buy my magical automobile in early August and call it a journey wherever.
And car insurance.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. No, that's going to be the most expensive part of the journey, honestly. This is going to be my insurance for the first year. First year is going to suck.
But and health insurance.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Car insurance is actually more expensive. First
yes.
Year.
Yeah.
First year. Second year, it goes the other way. But first year, it's car. So, no, I know. It's going to be a fun trip. I'm looking forward to it.
It'll be awesome.
Yeah. And I'll figure out where I land, which will I'll throw a dartboard sometimes. I'll figure out that's where I'll go. But wait, look at this.
The Canadian driver on the right. Okay, you know what? I will say in Canada, they were so polite and so nice as drivers. There was never any drama. Everybody would let you merge. That is not the way it is in LA.
I see.
In Toronto.
You did not drive in Vancouver.
No, I drove in Toronto.
You did not drive in Vancouver. Vancouver is legitimately the second worst place I've ever been to in both countries.
Have you driven in LA traffic?
LA traffic's nicer. The drivers in Vancouver are worse than the drivers in LA.
Oh, I find that hard to believe.
Drive in it and you talk to me afterwards. You won't. The worst I've ever been though is Phoenix, Arizona.
I've driven in Phoenix. It was all right.
Let me tell you a fun story. I'll tell you why I think Phoenix is the worst driver. See, I walked in Phoenix, lived in Phoenix, and I got to see it on all the angles. They don't look left. I'm legit. They don't look right. I haven't been to Atlanta, but
okay.
Yeah, you did not drive. So
I've been through Atlanta.
So my favorite story is there's a road in Phoenix called Camelback Road. I was walking, 2 drivers driving both sides of the road, turn left. Neither of them looked left. They don't look left in there. They hit each other right there. Like I said, I watched it in front of me. I was watching it the whole time I was there. Going left was an adventure in that city because nobody looked. It was like, how did no one die is amazing, right? But that's legit. Vancouver is shitty. It will it is a city built for transit to begin with. It is a city built, right? But so the best way to do Vancouver is through its transit, and it's good enough that it will cover you. Avoid driving on that in there as much as you possibly can, because I promise you, it's not fun.
Yeah, New York. I drove in New York City. I gotta say, that's
Yeah.
an adventure. That's just yeah. You just have to balls out and go. You cannot be timid in New York City.
Yeah, that's true too. So what Joe's telling you here is true. There's a lot of blind corners in Vancouver, but there's blind corners. The roads aren't built for the traffic it has, which is a big part of the problem. And the people there do not stop for anything. And I mean anything.
So they're Italian then.
Worse.
That's what it's like in Italy.
Yeah, it's worse. Because I think I somehow feel the Italians have more manners. I could be wrong. But I'm telling you straight up, like Vancouver is like Toronto. The only thing about Toronto is everything's built around the fucking 401. That's the worst thing about that city, right? It's because the 401 is really your best way through it. Now, especially if you're trying to go in the north, you're fucked, right? South Toronto, you do have Gardner. You have a few other roads to kind of ease that a little bit. But even so, it's not like Toronto's not fun, not because of the people driving in it, but that the infrastructure is shit.
Yeah, we were right by the Gardner, so we very rarely was on the 401.
Yeah,
didn't need to be on it.
Yeah, so which is good because if you're on it, you hate it. The best city, and this is going to sound weird, the best city driving wise I've ever seen, believe it or not, is Detroit, and that's weird to say because it's one of the best infrastructures. It's one of the best infrastructures I've ever seen in any city. Which is, again, I'm not saying there aren't like other issues, quality of the roads, cutting corners that way, but you can't get lost in that city. Like it's almost impossible to get lost in that city. It's built, the infrastructure is so well designed. It's like you screw up, you can literally turn back immediately, almost everywhere in the city. It works so well. But that's the best I've ever seen. The worst is for me, Phoenix. I've never been to Atlanta, so I can't comment about Atlanta. But Phoenix and Vancouver are my worst too. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in Cleveland actually. I was there for work, but I wasn't driving. I was flying in and out. So yeah. Now New Jersey. New Jersey is a state that is an interesting. It does not have the infrastructure. It does not have the right roads. It has very specific freeways. There's like one that goes this way, one that goes this way, and there's nothing in between. So you go through small towns to get to where you want to go. It takes you hours to do anything in New Jersey because you're like driving on 25-mile-an-hour roads to get from one city to the next, and it's like a 30-minute ride to go 7 miles because But
you kind of hate yourself the whole time. It sounds like a little bit.
It's pretty, but it's just weird. It's just a weird. It's a weird, and U-turns are illegal in New Jersey. Like it's weird. It's weird.
Okay.
They have U-turns that are cut out. So they literally have U-turns where you go right and then you cross through a light and then go left. They have some U-turns where you do it the others. Like it's a very interesting place to live. I loved it. It was beautiful, but also weird roads, weird setup.
I see that. So since we're talking roads, we're talking worst places to drive. I think we're near the end of this conversation, at least for now.
Yeah.
So what's your most recent release?
This one, The Dark Space Between, my second book.
Okay, so there's that one. So is there a release coming really quick? If not, plug that and where people can find you, and then I'll wrap up.
Okay, yeah, Dark Space Between came out in March. Book 3 I've written, but won't be out until next March because I have lots of projects. But you can find me on Amazon. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on my website, which is Cassandra, C as in cat, Stirling.com. Stirling with an I. That's the special part. And yeah, I got lots going on. That's me.
Yeah, and you got a nice cover. You got a nice cover compliment from Mr. Joe. This is Joe Compton.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you should definitely. And Joe, Cassandra would be a fantastic guest for your show at some point when she has time. I'm not right. He does a lot of indie author stuff, so it's really, really good. I think you would enjoy hanging out. So I got 2 things to wrap up with here. And the first is my advertising services. I make video, audio, words, and pictures for your projects and yourselves. You can definitely, if you want to use my services, you can do it. I've done it for comic book Kickstarters. I've done it for authors. It's been quite fun. I find the best parts of you and I show them to the world. Beyond that, my Patreon is out now. Just Joshing is breaking 1,000 soon. And I've already started putting episodes of the future and what they're going to look like for $5 a month. You can actually donate. Yep. You can donate to the show. No worries. It was nice to have you, Joe. You can definitely check out my Patreon. I have guests. I'm putting up my next episode literally tonight. Mark Watson is my guest. We talk about sports and they're on there. So you get to see what the new show looks like now, $5 before it's released down the road. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is that. I got a great guest Thursday, and I'm going to keep it on my belt for now. Thursday and Friday this week is going to be fun. Outside of that, folks, for everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully with a slightly better computer.